would you do if you knew you had less than 8 minutes to live?
I'd make those seconds count.
Have you ever imagined reliving the same 8 minutes of someone else's life, over and over, just to prevent a tragedy that's already happened? That's the mind-bending premise of Source Code, a gripping sci-fi thriller that blends action, emotion, and existential mystery into one incredibly tight narrative. The story begins with Captain Coulter Stevens, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, waking up on a commuter train heading towards Chicago. But something's wrong. The woman in front of him, Christina, calls him by a different name. His reflection isn't his own. And within 8 minutes, the train explodes. Then, darkness. Coulter wakes up again, but this time inside a dimly lit pod, communicating with an Air Force officer named Goodwin. She tells him he's inside a program called Source Code. The mission? To relive the last 8 minutes of a train bombing victim's memory in order to locate the bomber before a much larger attack occurs in the real world. Here's the twist. Coulter isn't time traveling. He's inside a simulated reality reconstructed from the brain data of a dead passenger. The past can't be changed, but through repetition and investigation, he might find the bomber in time to stop the next attack. It's a thrilling setup that plays like Groundhog Day, with a ticking clock and a national threat. As Coulter re-enters the train again and again, the layers begin to unfold. He starts suspecting different passengers. He tests boundaries, interrogates strangers, and slowly starts to connect clues that link to the real-life suspect. But something deeper is happening. He's not just gathering intel, he's forming emotional connections, especially with Christina. Even though it's a loop, even though it's technically not real, Coulter begins to fall for her. And that's where Source Code becomes more than just a sci-fi puzzle. It becomes a meditation on identity, choice, and what it means to be alive. Now, here's where the complexity builds. Coulter eventually discovers that he is not the same man he was before. Physically, his body was damaged in combat. What remains is a barely functioning shell, sustained only by life support and a neural link to the source code system. The Coulter we see is essentially a mind inside a machine. But despite this, he begins to fight, not just to complete the mission, but to live. And then comes the film's most powerful move. After identifying the bomber and fulfilling the mission, Coulter begs for one final chance inside the source code. This time, not to stop a crime, but to change fate. Goodwin agrees, possibly violating protocol. And when Coulter kisses Christina and the clock strikes 8 minutes, the train doesn't explode. Reality continues. Or does it? Here's the genius of the ending. We suddenly jump into a new timeline, a version of the world where the train bombing never happened. Coulter's consciousness has permanently replaced that of the man he was inhabiting. And the movie poses a subtle question. Did source code actually allow him to create a new timeline? Or was this always a simulation? In a final touch, the camera lingers on the Cloud Gate, the bean sculpture in Chicago, a warped reflection, a symbol of alternate realities, curved perceptions, and multiple versions of the truth. It's no accident. That mirror-like surface is an Easter egg of the film's entire theme, distorted timelines and infinite possibilities. Source code isn't just about saving lives, it's about the soul's persistence, about whether identity is defined by memory, by body, or by choice. And in just 93 minutes, it delivers a layered, emotionally resonant sci-fi experience that lingers long after the credits roll. So, if it's your first time diving into this story, pay close attention to the details, the reflections, the time markers, the ethical gray zones. And if you're coming back for a second round, you might just see a different movie. Because sometimes, the more you loop through the story, the closer you get to the truth. I hope you enjoyed this quick cinematic dive. Want to witness more of the silver screen brilliance? Then make sure to check back at Watch That Film.